much ado after they found out who the murderer was, based on the ballots that you guys turned in. There are a couple things Mr. St. John intended to put in the second act once he made up his mind who the murderer was going to be. Clues and actions that would lead to the person's identity. The cast will work these into the show. I want to let you know that so that you can continue to play armchair detective and try to guess the culprit's identity. Well, I guess that's everything. Go ahead and enjoy the second act and conclusion of Murders in the Heir.
Dead. Can't believe grandfather's dead.
Well, he is coming, Simon. He's the deadest person I ever saw. Funny you should say that. Me and Bensonhurst were discussing the degrees of dead earlier.
Mother, please. He was murdered.
There's no doubt about it. You saw the body.
Poor grandfather. If I'd got here sooner, maybe.
How do we know you didn't get here sooner?
What?
For all we know, you could have arrived hours ago, parked your car out of sight, stepped into the house, and killed the lights moments before you killed Simon Starkweather.
That's ridiculous. Why would I kill him?
I'd say a $30 to $50 billion fortune is a pretty good reason to knock somebody off. If Mr. Starkweather had signed that new will,
But I didn't know about the new will. I wasn't here when grandfather built that crazy cloning scheme he told me about.
it would be easy enough to hide outside the French doors and eavesdrop on the conversation.
Why would I hide? I was expected here. I told you what happened.
Tell me again.
All right. I had to creep at a snail's pace on that long country road from town. Rain was lashing at the windshield so hard I could barely see. The wind was snapping branches of the trees and flinging them against the car. It was like driving through a hurricane. Once I got to the bridge, the advanced stream which flows around the estate. I had to stop. The stream had turned into a raging river and torn the bridge to pieces. I remember a place about a mile from there where a tree had fallen across the stream years ago. I remember playing on it when I was a little kid. I found the dead tree and managed to walk across, even though the rising water near covered the trunk. Apparently, I got here just after grandfather was murdered.
That's a good story, but it sounds rehearsed.
Not nearly enough. It's the truth, I swear.
Maybe, but I'm still not crossing you off my suspect list.
And just who else do you have on that list, Mr. Davis?
Everyone that has to set this man's head. She had a heck of a lot to gain if your grandfather had lived just a few more minutes. As it turns out, she slept out in the cold.
Especially me. I had other clients, but I had to put them on the back burner in order to concentrate on Mr. Starkweather. Now I'll have to go back to my practice in earnest.
I'm sure once the estate is settled, we can arrange for you to give in a generous appearance check.
Take it out of your portion if you like. Mother and I will pass.
So will I. Nothing personal, of course.
Of course.
Well, Mr. Davis, what do we do now?
Simon's story reminded me we could play some bridge. The way I see it, we all sit tight till daybreak. Then I'll have you show me the way to your car to drive me to town. I'll report what I know to the police and will notify them that the bridge is out. My guess is they're flying by helicopter. They need to get the body to the coroner's office, examine the crime scene, and take statements. Once a homicide detective is assigned to the case, I'm out of here.
But you're a detective too, and you were right here when the murder occurred. You have a better chance of solving this murder than anybody else.
Sorry, but now that Mr. Starkweather said, I'm off the payroll. Once I give the big boys my statement, I'm finished.
I'll hire you to stay. I won't have my money till I get a portion of my inheritance, but if you're willing to wait.
You're on, kid. I figure you're good for the dough. And coincidentally, the offer dropped me down to the bottom of the suspect list. Well, I might as well start earning my salary.
How can we help, Mr. Davis?
First, I want to question everyone as to the whereabouts when Mr. Starkweather was murdered.
Establish everyone's alibis.
Yeah. Also, I need to know anything all of you and staff might have seen or heard during the last few hours that might lead us to discover the killer's identity.
Clues.
You got it. Motives, alibis, and clues. That's what the detective has to work with. The motives of the case are obvious. The other elements aren't yet, but hopefully they will be by the time I'm finished.
Sounds like a good plan to me. Whom do you want to start with, Mr. Davis?
Since you're paying the phrase, call me Mike. How about you, Miss Thompson? Do you mind being first?
I'm awfully tired, but if I have to.
You don't have to, Paula. None of us do.
What do you mean here?
I mean, Davis isn't even a police officer. We don't have to tell him the time of day.
You're right, Cousin Jordan. But why would you refuse to cooperate, unless you have something to hide?
Now, don't start accusing me of murder unless you can prove it, Simon.
Simon has a point. Do you want me to tell the cops everyone corroborated, except you?
Oh, all right. I'll answer some questions. But first, I'm going to take Mother upstairs and have her lay down. She's getting up in years and needs to rest.
Well, thank you very much, Jordan. I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but I'm definitely not Miss Methuselah either.
Don't get excited, Mother. Are you okay? Do you need your digitalis?
No, but if I did, there's probably one or two still under the sofa. I had a little accident with
Come on. You can call when you're ready for us.
I assume you want to question everyone in private. I'd like to read over the old will again, since it will remain the official one. Excuse me.
Well, I'd like to stay here. Hearing everyone's statements will give me a clear picture of what happened tonight at Starkweather Mansion.
You're the boss now. I'm particularly interested in what happened between the time Mr. Starkweather announced his change to his will and the time his body was discovered.
How long was that?
Several hours. Well, Miss Thompson, did you observe anything in that time frame that might help us?
I was very disappointed by Great Uncle Simon's announcement, as you might well imagine. I mean, I can understand why you might want to clone Tom Cruise, but Great Uncle Simon? No offense, Mrs. Simon, but your grandfather was not a very nice person. Anyway, I spent most of that time in my room, but I did come downstairs once on a little errand. I was outside the kitchen door when I heard Minerva and that cute little maid Nancy talking.
What's the matter with you, girl? Have you left your mind in the room? You haven't heard a word I said.
Sorry, Minerva, I'm so confused.
About what? Has that no-good scamp Jordan been bothering you again?
Mr. Starkweather, what makes you think that?
When I walked in on the two of you in the living room, you were standing mighty close together. Real lovey-dovey like. What was he saying to you?
I think you wanted me
To do something you didn't want to do?
yeah. But is that what you think?
I'll bet. You better stay away from you or I'll cut him down sides.
Whatever, no. He proposed to her, but she rejected him.
Miss Van Zandt? Ha, serves him right, the lazy bum.
Yeah.
Let me guess. When you lost your million, he lost interest in you, didn't he? He's pulling the money right to Miss Van Zandt.
Maybe he didn't settle down and with Mr. Starkweather, how to change his bill, Jordan would be
Free to do what?
Nothing. If we're finished here, I'd like to go to my room
Go
now.
on. Nancy,
Yeah?
lock your door.
Excuse me, folks. That little scene there in the foyer was a flashback. It showed a conversation Paul overheard before the murder. The other character stories, well, portions of them, will be shown in a flashback too. Isn't that clever? Well, I just wanted to make sure you got that. Okay, that's all.
That woman is really asking for it.
So tell me, Mrs. Trent, did you see or hear anything suspicious earlier tonight before Mr. Starkweather was murdered?
Suspicious? I suppose you'd call toting a gun around the house suspicious, even though Mr. Starkweather wasn't shot to death.
A gun? Who has a gun?
Besides me.
Paula Thompson, that's who, claims she's a regular in Oakley. She even mentioned how easy it would be for someone to break through those French doors and kill Mr. Starkweather.
Did she now?
Ask for yourself.
Anything else?
I did happen to overhear a rather odd conversation between Rufus and Mrs. Starkweather. I had gone upstairs to distribute candles to everyone in case of a power outage, which turned out to be very useful, as you may know. I had gone upstairs and was about to turn to the corridor when I saw Mrs. Starkweather at the far end of the stairs.
Do I have enough? Oh dear.
Mrs. Starkweather?
Rufus, you nearly scared me out of year's growth.
That's okay, ma'am. At our age, we do all our growing sideways, don't we?
I certainly hope not. What are you doing with that television set? It doesn't look portable.
It is now. I'm borrowing it for one of the guest rooms they use.
Whatever for.
Well, see, I ain't sleepy, so I thought I'd watch some TV. But the one in my room is all messed up. The color, I mean. Everybody on the dead blame channel's green. Looks like every channel starring Kermit the Frog.
How disconcerting.
You can say that again. Whatever it means. On them breath mints, I don't mind with you. I can still taste the crap nerves with the staff for supper.
These? Oh no, Rufus, you mustn't take any of these. They're for my heart. If you ate any of these, they could kill you.
In that case, okay. You better be careful
to not leave them lying around, though. If somebody eat a much by mistake, then 9-year-old dead.
That's entirely possible.
What would you put on their death certificate? Cause of death. Bad breath?
It doesn't matter. I'll be careful with these. I need these pills, you see. I need every one of them.
Rufus had an axe in the house?
Yes, Master Simon. I had instructed him to chop some firewood earlier.
I'm surprised you trust him with an axe.
Personally, I wouldn't trust him with a butter knife. I was simply relaying Mr. Starkweather's instructions.
Was there anything else that interest you happened to notice?
Just one, sir. Earlier tonight, I was coming from the kitchen when I saw Master Jordan at the door to Mr. Starkweather's room. The hall door, not that one. His behavior was somewhat furtive. I got the impression he was about to enter the room when Nurse Withers opened the door. It was apparent that his unexpected appearance startled Master Jordan.
Well, what do you want?
I was just gonna check on Grateful Simon.
No need. That's what I need to do.
How is he?
Still breathing if that's what you want.
How long do you think he has?
Let's just say you need to start reading any long novel, or even a short story.
Oh, you think he'll make it through the night?
I think Mr. Starkweather will be able to keep his heart beating to sheer determination, long enough to sign that new bill. That is what you want to know, isn't it?
You misjudged me, Nurse Withers.
If that's a hint, forget it. You'd love to see him drop dead before daybreak, just like nearly everyone else in this house.
Including you. Anyone would kill for that much money.
Give it a break. I see the prime suspect at whose death appeared to be anything but by natural causes.
Suspecting is different from proving.
I'm gonna forget you said that. Good night, Ruby. It's true. Jordan Starkweather did hint that I was in a position to end his grandpa's life in a way that would have been natural. I assume that sinners also told you that I refused,
He did, but you could have changed your mind.
and then killed him with a blood pressure cuff. Hardly what you call by natural causes.
I agree. The manner by which he was murdered makes no sense. Whoever did it.
It's as if the killer slapped him to deed in our faces.
Why don't they do that?
That's a good question. Tell me, Nurse Withers, if you had to pick a likely suspect to be our murderer, who would it be?
Off the record, that Thompson girl, his great niece, is too goody-goody for my taste. Although Southern girls can put on the charm when they want to, but Scarlett O'Hara was pretty ruthless when it got down to it.
We've been told Cousin Paula has a gun.
See what I mean? I dare say she and Jordan both were desperate to get their hands on Mr. Starkweather's billions. I overheard them talking in the corridor. Well, what are we going to do?
Do? What can we do? It's out of our hands.
Don't be such a wimp, Cousin Jordan. That money rightfully belongs to us. There's gotta be a way to get it.
I know. Maybe we get Grateful Simon declared insane. We can have his will broke.
I've thought about that, but it won't work. It's funny, Mr. Wild. You don't read your probably good, but it isn't. It's been done. He's playing a good first person to do it himself, might be bizarre, but it isn't insane, which is the case.
Yeah, and probably using the paints and it's on lawyers.
I'm back. It's been there.
What? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, if you can't beat him, join him.
What?
I just came out of the way to give us the advance, put me on our team.
What is it?
Fend for yourself, Jordan. Excuse me, I need to talk to that lawyer.
If you can't beat him. Now where would Lois be?
It's true. Jordan did suggest we get married. It wasn't what you call a romantic proposal. It was more like a business proposition.
We were gonna have access to billions. What did Jordan have to offer you?
Himself, I guess. In my opinion, that fortune hunter wouldn't be worth 2 cents.
Then you did turn him down.
Jordan is attractive in a smarmy sort of way. But any woman who married him would be a fool. Believe me, Mike, I'm no fool.
I knew that from the time we started working together.
You're smart enough to carry grandfather's cologne.
Look, Simon, once Mr. Starkweather had made up his mind about cloning himself, nothing was going to change it. He was going to find a surrogate mother somewhere, so it might as well have been me.
I understand. Just think the whole idea was creepy.
You're a lot nicer than the other heirs were.
For example,
Paula, for one. She hadn't given her hopes of getting hands of Mr. Starkweather's money.
how do you know?
I was in my room when she knocked on my door.
Our laws don't apply there.
What about ethics? Haven't lawyers been disbarred before for behavior that was unethical, if not illegal?
What's your point?
I want in on the deal. You can pay me from that trust fund to do baby's nanny or whatever. I don't care what you name the position. If you refuse, I shall be forced to report you to the bar association. Isn't that what you call it?
It is. Let me give you some free legal advice, Mrs. Thompson. In the first place, if you make any accusations against me before the closing procedure is complete, I'll sue you for the $50,000 you're due to receive and everything else you own, and I'll get it. In the second place, I plan to close down my office once the baby's on the way. I shall devote all of my time to little Simon's care, and at that point, it won't bother me in the least if I shall be despaired. You don't have to be a lawyer to administer an estate. Anyone can do it. So you see, young woman, your threats are meaningless. In fact, as an officer of the court, I shall repeat your feeble attempt at extortion to the police.
I wasn't.
Say it. Take your silly southern self out of my sight, and I might be willing to forget it.
I'll go. You lawyer.
Excuse me?
Yes, Mrs. Trent?
I found what's left of the Christmas candles we stored away. I thought it might be a good idea to pass them out in case of a power failure.
That's very thoughtful. Thank you.
Miss Thompson?
Oh, all right. I'm going to my room. There's something I need to get.
What's the matter with her?
Let's just say she's a poor, sore loser. Miss Thompson played her ace, and I trumped it to the manner of speaking.
If I remember correctly, when Paula Thompson yelled, you ran into French doors. Well, what were you doing outside, Rufus?
Was outside? Yep, I guess I was. I remember now. Now, I brought on a TV set from the guest room because...
We heard why, Rufus.
You did? Music sure drives fast around here.
All the actors on your set were green.
Sure was. Looked like a marshmallow lane or something. Anyways, when I put the new set in, the picture didn't come in too good. Everyone was fuzzy out the little worms. I thought I could go outside until the antenna ran.
On the roof?
Well, it would have helped if I was in the basement, it would have. Anyways. Oh, yeah. I heard a gal holler bloody murder. Murder. Anyways, even if it wasn't bloody.
Did you see or hear anything?
I saw an owl and heard a bunch of bullfrogs.
I meant humans.
Oh, I saw Mr. Jordan come in on the patio. Don't know what he was doing out there, though.
Earlier tonight, Rufus, did you hear anyone talking about the new will?
Who did it? The Urban No Feds and heard people talking much about making that out. They were going on about it before Mr. Starkweather broke.
What were they saying?
They were saying that it ain't fair, that's what. That they worked for Mr. Starkweather all these years and should have got their millions. Me? I didn't care too much. I figured $50,000 thought to be enough to buy a real TV with a real big screen. I guess now I might even buy me two.
Benson Chris Minerva.
Oh yeah. The more Minerva thought about it, the madder she got. And woo! That woman's got a temper. She was about to storm Mr. Starkweather's room and give him a piece of her mind.
You mustn't go in there, Minerva.
Who's gonna stop me?
I shall if necessary.
You and whose army?
I totally agree with you that we were wrong, but a confrontation is not the answer.
Oh yeah? Then what is?
Have patience. Mr. Starkweather hasn't signed the will yet. Perhaps he will have changed his mind by morning.
We should live so long.
No, Minerva. He should live so long. What were you doing outside about the time of the murder, Mr. Starkweather?
Just getting a breath of fresh air. Anything wrong with that?
Not if you remain outside.
What do you mean?
When on my courtesy examination of the crime scene, I noticed Nurse Withers had left the window raised a couple of inches, let in some of that fresh air. Anyone could have climbed in and...
Are you accusing me of killing Grateful Simon?
Calm down, Mr. Starkweather. I'm not accusing anybody. Yet.
Besides, Cousin Jordan, trying to con someone else into doing your bidding is more your style.
Who told you that?
I'll ask the questions, if you don't mind. I repeat, what were you doing outside?
Fine. Me and Lowe's got in a disagreement. I blew up and I went outside to cool off. Or have you heard that already?
I question, you answer. Remember? Let me ask you this. If you didn't kill Simon Starkweather, who do you think did?
That little maid, Nancy?
Why her?
Look, the girl has a crush on me. I flirt around with the ladies a lot, but I did nothing to lead her on. I knew she was upset about the new will, about her not getting her million, but especially about me not getting so much more. I was outside the kitchen door when I overheard Nancy and Nurse Withers talking.
Can I do something for you, Dr. Withers? I needed fresh water to put my Mr. Starkweather's bedside. I got it. That poor man, when he had a heart attack and lost his breath in the living room, I feel bad for him. Exactly. The slightest shock. Estelle! I must go. Yes. We wouldn't want you to leave him alone. I was shocked when I heard Mr. Starkweather had included me in his will. I'm surprised.
Then you must have received two surprises. To hear you inherit $1 million and immediately discover it was being taken away.
3 surprises, actually. Now you're wealthy again.
Oh, Mr. Starkweather, I wouldn't be thrilled to be told that your grandfather was leaving me $50,000. What would I go? What? With that, I could go to college like you, get an education.
Well, now you can do anything you want. What do you want to do, Nancy?
I don't know. I haven't been thinking about myself lately.
Who's been on your mind, Nancy? Jordan Starkweather, perhaps? You're very fond of him, aren't you?
Who told you that?
Well, for one, Jordan himself. He even implied that you might be willing to kill for him.
You what? How could he say such a thing?
Sorry to trouble you, Nancy. But now you know what Jordan's really like. He's out for himself, and he'll trample anyone who gets in his way.
I guess I know that. But never tried to avoid me. I even heard him propose to Miss Van Zant. She turned him down. I was taking fresh towels to the guest room. Later, then I heard them talk. You think Jordan is cold-hearted, but Miss Van Zant is just as bad as he is.
Can I get anything for you, Cousin Fiona? A glass of water?
No, I'm fine. Mr. Davis, I want you to know that my daughter could never know with yours what was done to Uncle Simon.
You know that can't be true, Mrs. Starkweather. Your son told us himself he went outside, and I saw you in here early tonight with Bensonhurst and Nurse Withers.
Oh, that's right. Maybe it was last night.
Maybe it was.
Now I know why Sherlock Holmes never believed the suspects in his cases. It's so easy to get confused.
Then concentrate on tonight, Mrs. Starkweather. Did you see anything suspicious?
Suspicious? Well, I saw Uncle Simon's body with that thing around his neck. I call that suspicious.
Mike means before that, Cousin Fiona.
Before? Let me think. I don't know if this is the kind of thing you mean, but
Yes.
it was right after we were told about the new will, and I'd all gone upstairs. I was passing by Lois's door when I heard her and the housekeeper inside. They were speaking quite loudly, so I couldn't help but to overhear.
What are you doing in my room, Mrs. Trent?
I was checking the guest rooms to make sure there's extra blankets in each. I suppose you're very pleased with yourself right now, Miss Van Zant.
Why do you say that?
It all worked out just as you planned.
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
I think you do. I understand now why you brought all those magazines from town and left them lying around the house where Mr. Starkweather would see them. You've done it for months.
What magazines?
Don't play dumb, Miss Van Zant. Those news magazines from scientific journals. I've seen them, and they all had one thing in common. Articles about cloning. I understand now that you've been planting the idea for Mr. Starkweather to clone himself into his brain.
So what if I did? There's no laws against sharing ideas now, is there?
That doesn't make it right. I think what you're planning to do is hideous.
Quite frankly, I could care less what you think. Get out.
Oh, starting to give orders already, are you? Well, I want you to remember one thing, young lady. You're not the queen bee yet, and you won't be until Mr. Starkweather's name is on that dotted line. Assuming that ever happens.
Mrs. Trench did accuse me of engineering the cloning business. Apparently, Mrs. Starkweather reported the conversation accurately, which is something of a surprise.
Well, is it true? Did you give grandfather the idea to clone himself?
I don't think that's relevant to the kids at hand, Simon. Even if I did, I wasn't breaking any laws. Don't you agree, Mr. Davis?
No laws I can think of.
Then shouldn't we be focusing on the law that was broken? I'm referring to the murder, of course.
You're at a search room, Miss Van Sense. Can you volunteer any information that might help us?
I will tell you this. Earlier this evening, I went to the kitchen to ask Minerva for a pot of coffee. It was apparent that I was going to be working late, so I thought the caffeine might help me stay awake. Minerva wasn't there, but Rufus was. I heard him talking to Fiona Starkweather. Their conversation was very peculiar.
Good heavens, Rufus, what are you doing with that ad?
I brought it inside, dried up good. Sharpened up too, wanna see?
Goodness, no, put it away.
Maybe I better, before I hurt somebody, or even kill them.
That's a horrible thought.
Ain't it though? I get those sometimes, do you? I see you still got your poison pills.
The Digitalis isn't a poison. It's a stimulant. You just have to be careful not to take too many.
I hope Minerva don't find none. She fixes Mr. Starkweather's meals and she's mighty mad at him right now.
What are you suggesting?
Oh, nothing. Is there something you need from the kitchen?
Well, I came to see if Minerva had a place to store stuff too.
I can look.
Never mind. I assume you don't want to.
Mr. Starkweather's meals? What do you want to know about that?
Who did he dine with? Did he eat the same food as everyone else?
Mr. Starkweather was on a very restricted diet. Low salt, low fat. So I have to prepare his meals separately. What do you want to know about the food? Is there something wrong with my cooking?
You're a great cook, Minerva. The leg of lamb you served tonight was wonderful.
Yes, well, I've often been told I have terrific legs. So what seems to be the problem?
Forget it. You told me what I need to know. Changing the subject. Do you remember who gathered in the kitchen when the circuit breaker tripped and the lights went out? Before I got there, I mean.
The blackout. Let me think. I was in the pantry, checking his last breakfast. When the lights went out, it took me a moment to get my candle and light it.
Is everyone alright?
I'm here, I'm fine. I came in the cellar, so the lights come out and go out. I was in my room and everything went black. What happened?
Bensonhurst forgot to pay the light bill.
Keep your eyes open and pay your wages. What in blazes is going on?
Apparently, the storm knocked out the electricity. My candles did come in handy, you see.
Remind me to give you a gold star later. Bensonhurst, can you put the electricity back on?
That's exactly what I came to find out. The circuit breaker is right over here.
I hope they hurry. Is that quick enough for you? I'll be back to my chore.
What did that idiot come inside for? Now that it's distracted water all over my clean floors.
Why Mr. Starkweather doesn't fire him, I'll never know.
Any luck?
Yeah, it was alright. It should be enough to pinpoint a murder. But I wish I had more. It can take weeks to get the results. If the will is probated and a killer gets his or her inheritance before then, they can disappear for good. You can buy a new identity easily enough for $1 million or more. There must be some way to kidnap the guilty party tonight.
I was hoping we'd find more from questioning these suspects.
Yeah, me too. They were so busy trying to make each other look guilty, they didn't even feel much about themselves. Sometimes the slightest... Simon, move your feet.
What is it?
Here, on the road. I think it's... Yes, what they were doing was so insignificant. I barely noticed that at the time. Simon, I know who was your grandfather.
Who?
I'll tell everyone as soon as I gather the evidence. Quick, go tell Bensonhurst I need to see everyone in here immediately.
Yes, sir.
But I was sitting here to see if you wanted a hot coffee.
Never mind that. Go upstairs and tell everyone to come down here on the double.
Yes, sir.
I don't think the police chief would mind if I use sandwich bags to gather evidence. I don't think he might at all. Please, everybody, take a seat.
Very late, Miss Davis. Or fairly early, depending on how you look at it. Nobody else is going to ask. I will. Why did you call us together at this hour?
It has been a long night, hasn't it? I'm sure you're all very tired. I know I am. But I felt your rest easier knowing you killed Simon Starkweather.
You mean you figured out who murdered Greg and Simon?
I believe I have, as I'm going to show you in the next few minutes.
I'm amazed, Mr. Davis. How did you figure it out?
First, I had to find the answer to the question that bothered me from the very beginning. It would be easy enough to make it appear that Simon Starkweather died in that causes, suggestion or Starkweather makes more splitters. For example, Mrs. Starkweather, her son, could have given him some of her digitalis to trigger a heart attack. So could several others among you who were aware she had them and had left several on the floor of this room. No doubt, as she spilled them early tonight. Nurse Withers could have achieved the same goal by injecting an air bubble into his bloodstream using a hypodermic needle. Again, any of you could have stolen a needle from his room and done the same thing. It's also probable that some of you deserve frightening the old man's death. Minerva with her knife, Miss Thompson with her gun, Rufus with his axe, Bensonhurst with her wrench. The possibilities are endless. Why then would the murderer choose to put a blood pressure cuff around the victim's neck? The answer is so simple. I feel foolish for not realizing sure what lesson really happened. Might want to ask what that is. Obviously, when the cuff was put on him, Mr. Starkweather was already dead. Am I right, Miss Van Sant?
You really are very clever, Mr. Davis.
It had to have been you. We were in here together when the circuit breaker tripped and the lights went out. Mr. Starkweather began to ring the bell. I went to go find Bensonhurst and you went and checked with Mr. Starkweather. His murderer must have killed the man and sent him to Nurse Withers' room seconds before you found the body.
That's what I figured too.
But why would you put the cuff around his neck?
As our able detective here surmised, the murderer had made it appear as if Mr. Starkweather had had a heart attack. Death seemed to have been indeed due to natural causes. There was no doubt in my mind, however, that someone in this house had killed him. I knew that under the circumstances, the coroner would have no reason to perform an autopsy, nor would the police conduct an investigation. I wasn't about to let my employer's murderer get away scot-free. So when I noticed the blood pressure cuff on the bed, I put it around his neck and bladed it before wheeling him to this room.
And your plan worked. No one would have questioned the fact that he had been murdered.
So, young Mr. Simon hired Mr. Davis to find out who killed Mr. Starkweather?
Which I have. That was very naughty of you, Miss Van Sant. For a while, your little play distracted me from the main problem. Instead of focusing on who did it, I kept wondering why they did it that way. Once I solved that piece of the puzzle, the rest came easier.
I'm sorry, Mr. Davis, but if you have discovered the identity of the murderer, then the end seems to have justified the means.
I believe the police will agree. Might even overlook the fact that you're guilty of tampering with evidence at a crime scene.
If not, I am on very good terms with the local judges.
Wait a minute. How do you know that Miss Van Sant didn't kill him herself?
No motive.
Well, don't keep us in suspense, Mr. Davis. Tell us, who did kill Mr. Starkweather?
I'll do better than that. I'll show you. Bear with me.
What?
Calm down! Stay seated. I imagine all of you still have the candles Mrs. Trent distributed earlier tonight to keep with you in case of a blackout. Take them out pleased and liked them.
Isn't this nice? Very Christmassy.
When I examined Mr. Starkweather's body, I found what I first believed to be a few drops of blood on his bathrobe. On closer inspection, they turned out to be a different substance entirely. I forgot about them for the moment. When I was interrogating you individually, I noticed one of you scraping one thumbnail against the other. At the time, I took to be a nervous gesture. I guess you could say I was nerve-struck by guilt, as it turned out. I didn't realize the significance of the gesture until I recalled what I was assessing. She reminded me of those of you who gathered in the kitchen with candles when the circuit breaker tripped. A few minutes ago, I noticed these on the floor by the sofa, and it had a link I needed to identify the murderer. Then scrapings of red tallow from the killer's thumbnail, tallow from the red drops on Mr. Starkweather's body, tallow from the red candle the murderer was holding when he killed Simon Starkweather, tallow from the one red candle among you which you're holding. Jordan Starkweather.
There could have been other red candles.
There aren't. I remember thinking when we took them down after Christmas that we'd have to buy some more red ones for next year.
Is that your only evidence? This candle?
No, Jordan. I have better proof than that. I just examined Mr. Starkweather's body. As I was worried about the rumor a few seconds ago, I glanced at everyone's hands. I noticed your wrists had several very thin scratches on them, made by Mr. Starkweather, no doubt, as he struggled for his life. I got my reputation that these skin samples I was able to scrape from under his fingernails came from you. It would be easy enough to prove. I met quite a few experts on DNA testing during the last 6 months.
Bravo, Mr. Davis.
Well,
I don't suppose you consider cloning those scrapings and putting Numi in prison? No? I didn't think so. Well, Miss Van Zant, I guess my biggest mistake was trying to trust a lawyer. I could have caused you to lose access to Simon's billions. But you definitely got your revenge.
why don't you tell us what happened?
Might as well. You got the main details right, so far anyway. I was furious with Rick Simon for building up our hopes and dashing him to the floor. I thought a man that cruel didn't deserve to live. I waited outside his bedroom door until I was sure that he was alone. I went in. He was awake, still in his wheelchair. I gripped the handles of his wheelchair and leaned right down into his face. I told him what I thought he was about to do was monstrous. I told him he didn't deserve to live. I told him I was going to kill him. Then I reached for his throat. He was terrified. He wheeled back in his wheelchair and slammed into his bedside table. The impact sent the reading lamp crashing to the floor and the pitcher of water right on top of it. When the water hit the reading lamp, it short-circuited and caused the circuit breaker to blow.
So you didn't cause blackout deliberately?
No, it nearly ruined everything. But thankfully, I had the candle and the matches in my pocket. I was able to light it and hold it in one hand as I grabbed the oxygen mask off his wheelchair with the other. I clamped it down hard over his nose and mouth. He couldn't breathe, of course. He made the feeble attempt to fight back with one hand while ringing that bell with the other. But all I could manage to do was make a few insignificant scratches on my wrists, which you noticed. That and caused me to spill red tallow onto his robe. An old man wasn't able to do much, but I guess it was enough to pin the murder on me.
And then?
I blew up my candle and put the oxygen mask back on the wheelchair. Then I went through the connecting doors to Mr. Withers' room. His back was to me. He just managed to find his candle and was about to light it. I grabbed the brass candlestick from his bureau and struck him with it. He fell to the floor. His candle went out. Then I crept through his door into the hallway. A few moments later, Hollis yelled. And then I joined the rest of you in here.
I'm sure you're as shocked as everyone else when you saw the blood pressure cuff around Miss Starkweather's neck.
I was, but what could I do? It was easy enough to guess what Miss Van Zant had pulled. I would have loved to kill you too, Lois. But I didn't dare try. Until now. Give me the gun. Give me the gun! No! Nobody dare move.
Oh, easy. You don't want to do anything you might regret.
It's too late for that advice, Mr. Davis. Get up. You're coming with me.
Where can we go? The bridge is washed out.
I know where that fallen down tree that Simon mentioned. Simon, put your car keys on the couch.
You'll never get away.
I think I might. The phones are still out and the cars are on this side of on this side of the street. It would take you hours to walk to town and notify the police. I'll be long gone by then.
What about me?
You ruined my perfect murder. What do you think I'm gonna do with you?
Not think I can help it. Hold it right there!
You burned me!
Consider it a preview of the afterlife.
I'll just keep these with me. You never know if cups will come in handy. Let's have them.
Want me to pay you a big bonus later?
No problem. Well, you're going away for a long time. What do you have to say for yourself?
Mother, find that Dr. X's name. I'll send you some skin cells.